couple cases where you can't use the law of sines, and for those cases you have to use the law of cosines. So we're going to go through the use of that. The two cases that you can't use the law of sines are side angle side and side side side. Okay. The reason being, let's say we have a side, an angle, and a side. I can't set up a ratio. I can't do the sine of A over A because I don't know what angle A is. I can't do B over B because I don't know what side B is, and I can't do C over C because I don't know angle C. If we have side, 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 I don't have any angles, so I can't set up a ratio using, I can't do sine of C over C or sine of A over A or sine of B over B because I don't know any angles. So these are the cases where we need to use law of cosines, and we're just going to use it so we can get one more thing, and then we're going to switch back to law of sines to finish the problem. For both of these types of problems, there's only going to be one answer. So you can eliminate the extra step that you get from the law of sines when you have that special case. All right. So here I'm given three sides. I can use any one of these formulas. These are all the same, basically, because it's arbitrary which side we name as A, B, or C. You know, I could have the exact same triangle, and maybe I call this angle A, and this angle B, and this angle C, but you could have the same one and start here and say A, B, C. Okay, so it doesn't matter how we label them. That's why these are all the exact same form. The key point to this is these two things have to be related. So if I have side C over here, I need angle C over here. And then I've got the other two being used on the inside. Okay? So one example of how I could set this up is I could do A squared, so 9 squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2 times B times C, okay, BC times the cosine of A. Now, just look at what's going on here. So when you start typing things in your calculator, make sure that this number is a coefficient of the cosine of A. So we can't do, here I'll combine these. So this is 81 equals 9 plus 121 minus 66 cosine A. Okay, I can't combine 9, well, I can combine these two. Okay, but I can't combine these two numbers because this is a coefficient. It's not 66. It's 66 cosines of A. Okay, so from this point, it's just like an equation. I'm going to subtract the 130 over. Okay, and that gives me negative 49 equals negative 66 cosine of A. I'm going to divide by negative 66. Okay, and from here I'm going to need my calculator. So I'm going to take 49 divided by 66. I really don't need the negatives because they're going to cancel. And I get this. Okay, so that's what the cosine of A equals. Okay, and so if I want to know what A is, I'm going to do the cosine inverse of that answer. Oh, I got to switch to degrees here. Okay, so I get 42.76 or 77 degrees. So that's what A is. And now I can go back to using law of sines to get the rest. Okay, so I can do sine of A over A. Okay, but since I know what A is, I can put 42.77 equals sine of B over B. Okay, so I'm going to solve this. B is actually 3. So I'm going to do sine of that times 3 divided by 9. And I get that. That's what the sine of B is. So I'm going to sine inverse that to find out what angle B is. I get 13.08 degrees. So then I just need to subtract these from 180 to get the final angle. $124.15. So that's what C is. And then I've got all 6 parts. 3 angles, 3 sides. Okay, let's look at another example. This time I'm given an angle. So if I'm given that angle, I'm not going to be given that side. So I'm going to be looking for A. A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2 times B times C times the cosine of A. Okay, now what's nice is I've got everything, so I can type all this in my calculator in just one stroke. 100 plus 49 minus 2 times 10 times 7 times cosine of 108. I get this. That's what A squared is, so I'm going to square root it to get A. So A equals 13.87. And now I can go back to using the law of sines. Okay, so sine of 108 over 13.87 equals the sine of B over 10. Must multiply. So I'm going to take sine of 108 times 10 divided by my answer that I got for A. That's what the sine of B is. I can sine inverse that. That's what angle B is. So that means B equals 43.31 degrees. And now to get C, I can just subtract those from 180. Okay, so that's what angle C would be. 28.69. So I've got 3 angles and 3 sides. Right, and that's how you do the law of cosines.